In the beautiful city of Paris, where romance dances with history, a sinister tale unfolded in the shadows of World War II. A tale so disturbing, it sent shockwaves through the City of Lights and beyond. Meet Marcel-André Henri Félix Petiot, a man of medicine, a supposed pillar of society, but beneath this facade lurked one of the most notorious serial killers France has ever known. Charged with 27 murders, Petiot himself claimed to have extinguished 63 lives, all under the guise of Germans and collaborators. His heinous acts were carried out with such calculated precision that for years he remained undetected, his victims merely disappearing into the fog of war. Today, we delve into the chilling story of this infamous figure, shedding light on the dark corners of Parisian history. We'll journey from his early life, through his horrifying crimes, the investigation that brought him down, and finally, his trial and execution. Along the way, we'll explore the theories and explanations behind his nefarious actions, aiming to understand what drove this man to become a symbol of terror. This is no ordinary tale. This is the dark tale of Marcel Petiot, France's most notorious serial killer. So, buckle up as we descend into the abyss of this grim chapter of French history. Marcel-André Henri Félix Petiot was born on January 17, 1897, in Auxerre, France. Raised in a tumultuous household marked by domestic abuse and parental neglect, the seeds of his dark future were sown early. A picturesque town on the banks of the River Yonne, Auxerre was known for its tranquility and charm. But within the Petiot household, a storm was brewing. As a child, Petiot displayed signs of disturbing behavior. He was known to have tortured animals, set fires, and even stole from his own family. His erratic behavior led to multiple expulsions from school. Despite his behavioral issues, Petiot showed a high level of intelligence and an uncanny ability to manipulate people around him. This would later become one of his most deadly tools. At the age of 17, Petiot decided to enter the world of medicine. Despite his unstable past, he excelled academically, eventually earning his medical degree from the University of Paris. Thus began the dark journey of Marcel Petiot, a man who would use his medical knowledge not to heal, but to kill. A man whose monstrous deeds would shake the very foundations of the City of Lights. With a medical degree in hand and an insatiable, dark desire brewing within, Marcel Petiot embarked on a journey that would etch his name into the annals of criminal history. Petiot started his criminal activities under the guise of his medical practice. His first known victim was Louise Delaveau, a patient with whom he was having an affair. When she disappeared in 1926, suspicious eyes turned towards Petiot, but without evidence, no charges were filed. However, it was during the Second World War that Petiot's monstrous nature truly emerged. He devised a deadly scheme to exploit Jewish refugees desperate to escape Nazi-occupied France. Posing as a member of a fictitious resistance network, he claimed he could arrange for a safe passage to Argentina or other non-occupied countries at a price. The desperate refugees saw him as their savior, not knowing they were walking into the lair of a serial killer. Once they arrived at his residence, Rue Le Sueur 21, Petiot injected his victims with what he claimed was a vaccine against foreign diseases. In reality, it was a lethal cocktail of drugs that killed them. The exact number of Petiot's victims is unknown. He was charged with 27 murders, but there are reasons to believe that the actual number could be much higher. Some estimate that he may have killed up to 60 people. When finally apprehended, Petiot claimed he was a patriot, eliminating Germans and collaborators. But most of his victims were innocent Jewish refugees, whose only crime was their desperate hope for survival. In the midst of the war-torn Paris, Marcel Petiot carried out his gruesome deeds under a cloak of chaos and confusion. But as the saying goes, even the darkest secrets cannot hide forever. In March 1944, a strange smell of smoke wafted from the chimney of Petiot's residence at Rue Le Sueur 21. Alerted by suspicious neighbors, the police were called. What they discovered was a house of horrors that would send chills down the spine of even the most seasoned detectives. Human remains were found in various stages of dismemberment and incineration. The scene was meticulously combed for evidence. Investigators found personal belongings of numerous missing people, along with a pit filled with quicklime, used for hastening the decomposition of bodies. The scale of the crime scene was unprecedented, pointing to a serial killer operating right under their noses. The investigation was further complicated by the chaos of the war. The police force was stretched thin, and many records were lost or destroyed. This allowed Petiot to operate undetected for so long, but now the net was closing in. However, Petiot was nowhere to be found. He had vanished, leaving behind a trail of death and deception. The hunt for France's most notorious serial killer had begun. Marcel Petiot, once a respected doctor, now stood trial as one of the most notorious serial killers in French history. The courtroom buzzed with anticipation as the gruesome details of his crimes were about to be laid bare. Petiot was charged with 27 counts of murder for profit. The prosecution argued that he had preyed on the desperation of Jewish refugees during World War II, promising them safe passage in exchange for their possessions. Perhaps the most chilling moment of the trial came when the prosecution presented the personal belongings of the victims found at Petiot's residence. This tangible evidence of his heinous acts sent shivers through the courtroom. Petiot, however, remained defiant throughout the trial. He claimed that he was not a murderer, but a patriot, insisting that his victims were German spies or collaborators whom he had killed for the French resistance. The jury was unconvinced. After deliberating for less than 3 hours, they returned with a guilty verdict. Marcel Petiot was sentenced to death. The trial of Marcel Petiot served as a grim reminder of the depths of human depravity. A man who had sworn to save lives instead took them in the most brutal way imaginable. Marcel Petiot, now a convicted serial killer, awaited his fate with a chilling calm. He maintained his innocence to the end, his defiance standing in stark contrast to the horror of his deeds. Even after his conviction, Petiot continued to insist that he was a member of the French resistance and that his victims were German collaborators. His audacious claims, however, fell on deaf ears. On May 25, 1946, Petiot met his end by guillotine in Paris's La Santé prison. The executioner's blade brought an end to the life of one of France's most notorious killers, but the scars he left on society remained. Public reaction to Petiot's crimes, trial, and execution was a mix of horror, disbelief, and anger. How could a doctor, a man sworn to protect life, commit such heinous acts? And how could he have done so under the guise of helping those most in need? The case of Marcel Petiot shook French society to its core. This gripping story unveils the terrifying darkness that can exist in the shadows, revealing the true face of evil during a time of war and desperation. Marcel Petiot's heinous crimes have been the subject of intense scrutiny and speculation. How could a man of medicine turn into such a monstrous killer? Various theories offer some insight. Many experts believe that Petiot exhibited signs of psychopathy and narcissism. His lack of remorse, manipulative behavior, and grandiose sense of self-importance are classic traits associated with these disorders. Criminologists and psychologists have analyzed Petiot's behavior in an attempt to understand his criminal motivations. Some theorize that his crimes were driven by a pathological need for power and control, while others suggest he was motivated by financial gain, taking advantage of desperate people during a time of war. Petiot's medical knowledge undoubtedly played a significant role in his crimes. He knew how to kill without leaving obvious signs of murder, and his understanding of human anatomy aided him in the gruesome dismemberment of his victims. Ultimately, the full extent of Marcel Petiot's dark psyche may never be truly understood. What is clear, however, is that he exploited his position of trust and authority to commit unspeakable acts of evil. We've reached the end of our chilling journey into the dark tale of Marcel Petiot, France's most notorious serial killer. Wow, the depths of human depravity that can hide beneath a veneer of respectability. What are your thoughts on this case? Do you believe there was more to his story than what met the eye? Does his claim to be a member of the resistance hold any merit, or was it just a desperate attempt to justify his heinous crimes? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We're eager to hear your take on this horrifying chapter of history. If you found this video informative and engaging, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. Your support helps us to continue bringing you more content like this. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you won't miss our next video into history's darkest corners.